Hello, I'm Helen Farrell from the Florence team. Welcome to our daily, well, not daily, but frequent TF Together service where it's our online moment to meet up and share activities and interests during lockdown. I'm sure you know the spiel already. Today, we are very honoured to have the wonderful Georgette Jupe of Girlinflorence with us for a Q&A, because Georgette's been getting lots of questions, right, Georgette?
Yes, I am ready to answer all of the questions. I might not have the right answers, but I can try to BS my way through it.
As always, we're trying to guide people through this, right? That's the idea. We're near the end of week 5. Is it that long?
I don't even know what day it is. I just know from certain deadlines that I'm supposed to keep. But yeah, it's a day. It's sunny. I think it's week 5.
And it's nearly Easter, right? I think one of the questions that that your blog received was about Easter and whether you're concerned at all about whether there might be a spike in infections after Easter because people might be trying to meet up and stuff. We know we shouldn't be going out, but yeah. I don't know. Are you concerned about that?
Io resto a casa. I stay at home. I would have been worried if they would have lifted some of the restrictions, even though I badly, living in a 3rd floor apartment with no terrace or balcony, would love to have a long walk outside like everybody else, especially since this must be one of the first Easter weekends that seems like it's going to be perfect weather. So I can see why people would be concerned, because in a normal year, people would be flocking to the countryside and the seaside. And considering this is a time when we should all be social distancing, I'm fairly happy that the government decided to extend the lockdown, because I do think it would be that the infections would spike otherwise. But I think we're okay. I think we're all going to be at home eating a lot.
Italian saying, right? What's that Italian saying? Pasqua, no, Natale con I tuoi.
Natale con I tuoi. Con chi vuoi. Yes, now it's going to be Pasqua con chi sei in questo momento. Whoever you're with, you're going to have to like Easter with whoever lives with you at the moment. But luckily, Easter is really, I mean, at least for me, has always been traditionally about food. We were supposed to be in France this Easter. I think we would have already driven the 11 hours to my husband's hometown, but instead we just ordered a bunch of meat and vegetables from the local butcher, and we'll be doing Easter a casa. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, we'll be a casa at home as well. We've done along the same lines. I think one of the wonderful things, I'm sure you agree with me, is sort of like rediscovering the importance of your local producers. We've yes. ordered directly from a farm near Ponticello.
That looks really lovely. No, that's you know, it's awesome. We got our delivery from our butcher in Sant'Ambrosia, Luca Menoni, and it's like Christmas Day. You know, it comes and you just are like, okay. And you know, normally I love to cook. I'm one of those people that I need to turn off the computer, turn off the internet, put my phone away, and get in the kitchen. And it's my way to kind of escape from the digital world for a little while, and also cooking for somebody else. Really is, you know, is a motivator. So it's nice that we're able to support them because, you know, they need the business, but also eat well. You know, I mean, that's part of staying healthy. So as much as I want to eat tomatoes all the time, of course.
Carlo has just written, and please do send us questions live on Facebook so that we can answer them. But Carlo has just written saying, make sure to have some good wines for Easter.
I know.
No?
Exactly. I do. I need some good wine suggestions. That's the one thing I haven't ordered yet. I want to. I just have been, you know, I think like a lot of people too, and this is something I think that deserves mentioning, because I know everybody wants to buy all of the things and gets very excited. You know, most of us are probably on a budget too. You know, it's expensive to order a bunch of artisanal things from time to time. So I understand if you have to pick and choose who you can support, and like me, sometimes have lived on beans for a good week or two. I know Mary Gray has. We have bonded over this exact.
A great article about the you know, the chickpea. Give a girl a chickpea, and how far a chickpea can go in life.
You know what? It is not an Italian unless you me or lurking about. So those are very useful.
And because, of course, this is a marathon, you know, and people I know have been asking you, like, when will lockdown end, Georgette Jupe? Well, do we know yet?
Yeah, well, I'm one of Giuseppe Conte's bimbi, so I should get the first-hand knowledge. And what I'm referring to is the fan account on Instagram that loves to put cuoricini and all kinds of emojis with our prime minister for the moment, paired with lovely music. So whoever is doing that is brilliant. But from what my understanding is, the lockdown will be extended until May 4th. Of course, that we don't know what that means because how things have been going, it seems like every 2 weeks they've extended it. But I'm thinking that maybe, and you can tell me, you might know more than me in this case, but from what I've been reading, it seems like certain businesses will get the right to work if they can respect social distancing. I saw that the Libreria and Carteleria will be able to open. I know my husband's company is talking about this right now. So it's a concern many have, and I don't think there are a lot of answers out there. But I'm hoping that they do this slowly and smartly. I mean, that's the problem, is that Italy's kind of the first hit. So in Europe, and we're, you know, it's not like there's no easy answer because you don't want the economy to implode more than it already has. But at the same time, people's lives are literally at stake. So we'll see what happens.
I mean, it's a tricky one, isn't it? And while we're here, big shout out to your husband, Nico, who, you know, is a bioengineer, right?
Biomedical, yeah. He works in biomedical for a biomedical firm that does diagnostics here, including the COVID-19 test. And the French company, they have a site here in Ponte Emma. So a lot of people are working remotely at the moment, but yeah, for them, it's the same, you know, and they're also talking about being forced to take feria and whatnot. So even companies like his that are essenziale still are affected.
I know it's a major thing. Oh, greetings from Egypt. There we go.
Hi.
Sending our deepest prayers. How wonderful. That's what we're seeing. I'm sure you're seeing it as well, Georgette, is this incredible outpouring of love and support for Italy. I think we're blessed that this country is just adored all over the world. And that gives me hope for the future, you know?
That's the beautiful thing that can come out of this, is simply the fact that so many people love and support Italy and support the people that live here. They know that what everyone is living day to day is extremely difficult at the moment. You know, everyone I know, myself included, you know, has severe ups and downs because the uncertainty is so poignant right now. So I appreciate that. Anytime anybody writes me that, I really, really appreciate that. And I think of everybody in Italy as well, because, you know, I might be complaining about my, you know, tiny apartment, but there's somebody else, everyone else is living the same way. So
how's Ginger coping with this? Your lovely dog.
Well, Ginger, who is probably barking in the other room, interrupting my husband's conference call. She's doing well. Honestly, I think she was a little bit confused that we were both at the house all the time. And I actually think we've kind of like interrupted her puppy party by herself. I mean, every once in a while she gets annoyed and puts herself to bed. And I'll find her under the covers. It's been hard. We haven't been able to take long walks. You know, literally we go out, she does her business, and then we come back up very quickly. So it's not that fun for her, I imagine, but we're doing our best. And you know what? She's giving us a tremendous amount of company. I'm probably cuddling her to the extreme. I'm sure any dog owner knows this right now. But you know, she's hanging in there. She's a good beagle, even if, you know, she likes to give you that side eye. Very good at that.
How are you finding, because you're on the ground there in Florence, how are you finding the response to when you go out and you take Ginger for a short walk? I'm assuming you're doing that. There was a moment of where there was solidarity one week, and then the following week there was this sort of suspicion as to anybody who was out on the street. What's the mood? What's the mood on the street right now?
You know, it depends on the day, and I have to be honest, I don't even like going outside in the moment. You know, the atmosphere is negative, and I also want to set an example, and not use any excuse to go because it is scary there for this virus. So, but I mean, I do think that ever since they started to crack down after the second week, there have been a lot less people just meandering about or jogging or things like that. Like people seem to be going to the grocery store or walking their dogs. But yeah, it's very odd in a country that's so all about the personal connection and hugging and talking to kind of cross the street when you see someone. I mean, it's not natural. I've never been one of those people that enjoys that kind of being in a fast-paced city where you ignore everybody. I like being in Florence where I can stand on the street. So, but that there are good moments too. You know, sometimes if I happen to recognize somebody, I'll wave and we'll have that moment of solidarity. I'm sure, and you too as well. I've seen you've had conversations on your balcony.
I mean, I've met neighbours. I've been living where we have in Pontus area. It's a Tuscan town, 20 minutes from Florence. I've met neighbours. I've lived here for 13 years. Never seen them before. And now this guy next to me, I can't shut him up. He's just
I saw that. Well, I have something fabulous to share because I know I often share that my husband actually gets dressed during the day, which not all of us do. I'm only doing this for you guys. But yesterday they did the delivery of the masks because the Comuna has delivered 2 masks each to every resident here in Florence. Mm-hmm. So we finally got ours yesterday, and that was a very exciting moment. And when I heard my neighbors going downstairs, and I kind of peeked outside to see, the situation and when to go, almost all of my Italian neighbors were in pajamas at 3 p.m. So I felt very, it's not just everyone's wearing pajamas right
now. No, it's fine. It's reassuring. I mean, we've done our hair and put our makeup on for this purpose, but otherwise, I mean,
Exactly, guys. This is going to come off as soon as this is over.
So Nazo is asking, Georgette, how are your friends in the US? How are your friends in the US asking you for suggestions on how to cope with the lockdown and the whole COVID situation?
Absolutely. Part of the reason before everything that happened, at least for me on the blog, I was probably behind, probably like everybody else, super rushed, million projects going on, which is exciting. But I was behind on kind of keeping up with what I wanted to do on the blog just because work always kind of came first. But since so many people have been asking, how everything is going on in Italy and how to, just basic, even how to go to the grocery store or how, what's the policy with visiting elderly relatives and things like that. And I think I sound quite harsh. I tend to be of the no variety because, in this, it's difficult to tell people that their personal limitations, especially in a country like the US where people are very used to their freedoms and especially in Texas where I'm from. So it's hard to tell your own family members that they can't visit their mom or it's not a good idea to do social distancing parties. But we've had some really good conversations out of it. And I feel like the people that I know are getting that this is obviously very serious and that even if you're in rural America, coronavirus does not discriminate, unfortunately. So they are looking at people who are over here and a couple of weeks ahead on what to do and how to deal with it. And also just like how to cope with it emotionally. Because that's really important too.
Yeah, I kind of seen it as almost like a grief process in some sort of ways. Your emotions go up and down and you're very... I think you've probably been asked as well about how do you manage to stay productive? And the answer is, well, you don't, right?
It's funny. I found this graphic on Instagram and I started to share it almost daily. I need to do it today as well. And it just talks about like, don't feel guilty about not being productive during a pandemic. I feel strongly about that because I did see a lot of posts and articles about this is your opportunity and la, 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 which is great. Don't get me wrong. I signed up yesterday for a free Yale course on the secret to happiness. If anybody wants that link, I will send it to you. All right, it's interesting. So I get the want to be productive in this moment, but I don't think we should be pushing that. I think that these emotional ups and downs are also a chance for us to kind of veg out and just speak to family and friends and cope in any way that feels comfortable. With work, I struggle with it too. What's been motivating me has just been kind of trying to help in any little way that I can through the blog and in social media and doing what I do normally, but pivoting to address the situation. So I have moments where I'll sit down at the computer write something in 3 or 4 hours and feel super motivated, and then I'm literally watching and not changing out of my pajamas for the entire day. So there's no secret to that. I think it's just
I feel
accept
honored.
that this is.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I feel honoured that we got you at one of your most productive moments. Georgette kindly wrote an article for the commemorative issue, if we can call it commemorative. We're still in it, so it's not commemorative yet, but Feeling Not Broken is the special issue, 106 pages. I was feeling productive for a few days.
Now, we're super productive because this issue is incredible.
Another question. Angela is saying, I'm planning an art collaborative in Philadelphia with funds going to Italy. Are there any foundations which lists families in need due to the virus? We want to help the country which has made us who we are.
First of all, Angela, that's such a lovely idea, and hats off to you for thinking of doing something like this and trying to find a way to help Italy in a concrete way. That's, all of us can appreciate that. As far as foundations which list families in need, I'm sure there are. I would have to guess something like the Fondazione Careggi, or maybe even the Red Cross. Probably the Italian Red Cross would be the ones that already have volunteers that have been helping families in need at the moment. But I'm sure both Helen and I can come up with some names that we can send to you, because I don't know exactly, but I'm sure this information wouldn't be that hard to find.
Yeah, maybe I can ask Alex, who's our director behind the scenes, to put up the article about how to help Italy in its time of need. We put out a list of different charities. I'm sure Georgette's done something similar, but yes. I think the main ones are the same, that we've probably both put it into the public domain. So maybe if Alexandra can put that up there while we're chatting, that would be wonderful.
Yeah, and it's funny because even yesterday, just to kind of share, and I know we were going to talk about this too, about solidarity and the spese and everything. I even saw that, even the Calcio Storico, the Historical Football Association, the Bianchi here at Santo Spirito, they've been from the very beginning offering to deliver medicine and groceries. I saw that they set up a food kitchen in Vecchia Bettola to deliver food to people in the neighborhood in need. So there's a lot of community effort from what I've seen to help those in need.
No, it's true. Oh, Sheila, my friend Sheila over the bridge. Hello, Sheila. Yeah. Is asking, this is very sweet, but how is your family holding up in Texas and the US?
Oh, they're doing good. My parents are divorced and have been for a million years. So I have a lot of calls to do on a weekly basis. But, they're holding up well. I think in the beginning, like many, they were, and also myself included, by the way, I think all of us underestimated what was going to happen or the reality of the situation now. They were skeptical in the beginning, especially living in a place that's really warm and they were getting a lot of mixed messaging from the government. So I think they were a little bit like, it's going to be fine. And then now I would say they struggle with the grocery store thing. They don't have the opportunities like we do to go to like the local butcher, farmer's market, that kind of thing. So, they're kind of forced to go to the big grocery stores and that scares them. But they're holding up. Everybody's okay. And I've been, hopefully like you guys, checking in on them often, just because I think that's the only thing I can do from here. So for now, everything's good, and I hope it remains that way.
No, it's true. We just have to try and get by, all of us in our own way. I mean, my parents are in rural England. They're medics, and I think they saw what was coming, and they self-isolated like when we did, So
even before the UK actually put into place the lockdown there. I think they're in full lockdown in the UK, I think.
Yeah, they can go out and exercise, apparently.
I know. I actually, one of my dirty little secrets is that I love to follow this forum on Mumsnet that's like, am I being unreasonable? It's just fun to read when you have some free time. And they're all very stringent on that 1 hour of exercise. And I'm like, I secretly kind of want to jump in and be like, how dare you? You're so lucky you get your 1 hour of exercise and you're complaining about it.
Oh, it's so funny. Well, from exercise, let's go back to one of our mutual passions. There's a few questions about food. So Francesca asks, well, she says, I'm cooking like crazy during this lockdown. We know, I mean, flour is just like dashing off the shelves in Italy, and yeast is incredible. Anyway, what about your food and cooking habits at this weird time? Are you having any major changes in the way you're eating or preparing food?
I would say that I'm probably eating and preparing more food. That's the problem. The problem and the solution are the same here. Yeah, I will say that I'm trying to be more balanced. I think before I was always, relying on the fact that I would probably be eating out a couple of times a week, and now I'm not. So I'm trying to make that the most exciting part of the day. And it doesn't have to be about making a huge amount. Like often enough, we'll just have raw vegetables with something a little bit more golosa, a little bit more rich and hearty, But I will say that, learning to shop, because this is important too. In Italy, I feel like a lot of us used to shop. We used to get a couple of things every day. I would always be stopping by the store or the butcher or the market, picking up things here or there. And we're literally shopping once a week and getting everything in once, basically kind of how I used to live in the US a long time ago, over 10 years ago. So it's odd to have to kind of organize your shop in a way that's means that you have to go back for any reason, unless of course we have a little fruit and vegetable guy around the corner. But I definitely think that we're eating better just because it's something fun that we can do together. And we get excited about making new cakes. I messed up all kinds of dishes. The other day I put a lot of sugar in a curry that did not mean to have it. Yeast is a problem, but what's funny is I actually found some flour at a local bakery here, and I was so excited about it. And then we just messed up completely the focaccia that we had made. So maybe I just need some better yeast. I don't know if you guys are having that problem, but I will say we are trying to work out to offset the food, but it's not, of course.
How are you working out, Georgette? How are you trying to fit exercise into your routine, given that you can't walk as much as you used to around Florence?
I used to walk at least a couple of 20,000 steps a day sometimes. I'm a member of the club gym here in Florence, and they do some live classes on their Facebook group page. So that's been great. And I've just been using YouTube like probably everybody else. And I've gone to Nico, who never wants to work out with me or do anything. He does his own thing, to start doing very interesting and girly workouts. Don't tell him I told you that. And that's been fun.
Well,
you know what we do? We put on like another persona. Like we just basically are like California girls, and we're like, okay, tribe, boop. You do what you can. We're all going crazy here, so.
All right, I will admit that I put on Whitney Houston very loud, and I just dance like there's no tomorrow around my living room for 40 minutes, and my husband sits in the kitchen and just
he doesn't join you. I actually love that. I was reading somewhere that there were kind of these Zoom parties, disco, parties where everybody's dancing up a sweat, and I think that's brilliant. Anything to help the day go by better, and it's a workout. So
that's true. This is a nice question from Kirsten. Ciao ragazzi. Hi Kirsten.
Hi.
Sorry I missed the beginning. It's all right. We've been going on for a bit now. I want to know what's on your bucket list, Georgette, of what you're going to do when you're allowed to go out again.
Oh gosh, it's funny because I've been trying to hesitate from talking or posting about that, just because I don't want to get my own hopes up maybe about when that's going to happen, and maybe kind of just another reminder of what the reality is not going to be anytime soon. But I would say I would probably keep it simple. I really just miss seeing people. I love the video chat and the calls, but I just want to sit across from somebody over a long dinner with other people, having dinner in the same place, and getting a coffee with somebody. It's funny. I feel like I've taken so much for granted in this life, and all those simple things are things that I want to do, even more so than hopping on a plane and going somewhere exotic. I think I'm just going to kind of stick to local things, and we'll go from there. I don't know about you, but I've done a lot of traveling over the years, so it's okay to.
Yeah. I mean, I feel the same. I feel very blessed that I've traveled a lot, and this year I've traveled. You know, I went to Australia with my husband in February, so I feel like when we enter stage 2, which is what the Italian Prime Minister is calling it, I think the thing is it's all about staying closer to home, right? Just like walks in the countryside, the simple things like you're saying, Georgia.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to open up the borders anytime soon. And even if they do, I think it's going to be a slow rollout of how they're going to do it. I mean, we don't know. We're all just guessing. It's we just wait for the decreto to be announced, and whatever evening is going to be that night. But yeah, it's a really just, you know, a really long walk, a nice meal with a good friend, taking my dog out to a field. I mean, I don't even care at this point. Just anything. I'll go out. I'll wear the mask. I'll stay away from people if I need to. But it's we don't want for much.
No, I think that's the thing that we're all realizing coming to the end of week 5 for people who are not in Italy, is the adjustment that we've very much adjusted to this. There's a sense of resilience in Italy that we will do what has to be done to stamp this out, or to get to a stage where we can start the economy going again. And, you know, we'll wear those masks. We'll do what we have to. And yeah, I know we would love to welcome you all back. We would. But I think it's going to take time. I think you've been asked that question a lot, right, Georgette? When will Americans be able to come back to Florence?
I don't know. And, you know, the tourism in general, what's is obviously the sector, one of the most affected sectors at the moment. And I don't know what's going to happen. I think it's going to take a really long time for that to get back to normal. And maybe when it does, there should be a new normal. I saw in the commemorative issue of the Florentine a really nice piece written by Alexandra Lawrence, who touches on that, who is a tour guide herself. So, you know, she lives off tourism, and she says there needs to be more of an emphasis on the more sustainable kind than we had before. But I mean, I can't wait to welcome people back and and also travel myself. But I just think for now we're going to have to kind of live from afar.
Yeah, I think what could be interesting, and this is something that we can maybe ask people for their contributions, is that right now, obviously, this is a moment for reflection and consideration, and maybe we need to start thinking. This is the moment to think about what we would like in the future for Florence. This is almost like starting over, right? So you know, feel free to send both, you know, to Georgette, I hope she agrees, and to the Florentine, your suggestions on, you know, what we could do to put things right maybe that weren't right before. I don't know whether you would agree. Do you have any thoughts along those lines, Georgette?
Oh, absolutely. I feel this. I just think it's so ironic how a year ago and recently even we were talking, I mean, literally even in my job at Illy Magazine, we've been talking about sustainable tourism and how to promote sustainable tourism more and more and more. And it was almost becoming like, I mean, I remember somebody sent me this nasty email once about promoting a place they like in Florence because they thought they owned it or something. And because, you know, the tourism and the effects of tourism, which I can understand to some extent. But I think it's almost as if, like, you know, the planet is telling us something, you know, all the pollution, all of the people, all of the me, doing what we want when we want. I mean, this has changed. This has put everything in tilt right now. And it would be a shame to not use this time to think about how we want to go forward together. I want it to be like a, you know, a community effort between, you know, hopefully the local government, the comune, the tourism boards, people like us, people like you, to come up with something that is a better fit, because it wasn't really working before, you know?
No, it wasn't. I think that's something that we're all agreed on. I mean, that's something even that the mayor of Florence, Dario Nadella, has already pointed out, that, you know, this is very much right. We start again. We think again, all of us together, Tuscany region, you know, and especially this international community that adores, absolutely loves Florence. And if we love Florence that much, then together, you know, hopefully we can find a better way for this city in the future.
Absolutely.
I'm just looking how many. Everybody's just, you know.
Yeah, thank you for all of your comments joining us, by the way. I love seeing a lot of people we love and know joining us for this afternoon chat.
No, thank you so much, everybody. I mean, this is just amazing that everybody's giving their considerations and, you know, expressing their concern and thoughts for us all as well. It's very, very special. The beach, Georgette, somebody asked about. Do you think you will be making it back to the beach this summer with your mask on?
Oh my God. We just had a conversation about this the other day because there is this beach town in Liguria that is not part of the Cinque Terre that we love to go to every year. And we already booked even, you know, the bagni and everything for a long weekend in August. And I have my doubts, you know, honestly. I don't know if that's going to be possible. And I don't think anybody knows. I did do some research on this before this conversation. And I feel like saying, you know, giving you a certain kind of assurance would be a shame because I don't think anybody knows. And I think that when and if that's possible, you know, social distancing will still be in effect, and maybe they'll implement that by skipping a row or number of people in beds and whatnot by the seaside. I mean, they'll do what they can. But there's also the factor of, if only Italians can stay in Italy, and if it's going to be more local tourism, a lot of people are using up their feria right now, their holiday time for work, so they might not be able to take holiday, and they might not have the money. So I'm concerned on a lot of different fronts when it comes to the summer. You know, if we can manage to go to the beach this summer, and you know, I'll be more than happy, of course. But I'm just trying not to get my hopes up.
No, I mean, let's just touch on the financial concern, because it is, you know, it is very tangible. There are donation points that people are leaving food,
Yeah.
are taking them in Florence. How is somebody asked you, how is everyone surviving financially and managing to pay bills and pay back their mortgages and loans?
I think it's tough. You know, I feel, you know, obviously there is the bill Cura Italia, and that has been issued by the government to help businesses and people even like me. You know, I'm happy that they've unveiled that, and it seems to be a hot topic of conversation. But I'm worried. You know, everybody I know, myself included, we've all been financially hit by, you know, and it's crazy how so many plans and work and projects and invoices in a matter of even 2 weeks, boom, gone. I mean, I don't have to tell you that, but I feel for a lot of my friends who have no income and have no idea how that's going to work and are questioning how to pay their bills and rent. I know that the Florentines kind of go-to lawyer, Michele has published published a really good article on LinkedIn about businesses and COVID. So if you are a business owner, I would suggest reading that article because it kind of breaks down how the bill, the Cura Italia bill, is meant to be interpreted for small businesses. I can even have the link.
Yeah, Michele is very thorough in this, and you know, he tries to read around, because the problem with the legislation that's been issued is, you know, the lawmakers have had to put these laws together in, you know, groundbreaking time, and nobody's had to legislate like this quickly ever. So there's a lot of grey areas. There's a lot of being open to interpretation, and so you really do need legal guidance.
Yes. And so and you know, I will say too that I feel just from personal conversations with friends, and we've talked a lot about this, like how to pay rent. You know, I'm paying rent as well in my apartment, and what to do. And the only advice that I've been giving people at the moment is, you know, we're all human. So if you go to your landlord and you explain the situation and you say, listen, I don't have, you know, my work has been stopped. I don't know when I'm going to get the money from the government. 600 euros might not be enough to pay for rent and food. Most people are kind of understanding. And, you know, that you could probably work out a deal to either defer, or maybe they'll even forgive your rent. I know that's happened with a couple of friends here in Florence. But I don't think there is a clear law or thing in place for personal people having issues paying their rent unless they're students.
I think Michele touched on this. We did a TF together session with Michele a few days ago about legal advice, and you know, came out with some really interesting points that I wasn't aware of. And basically, if you could demonstrate that you are paying something, anything, to the landlord, then the landlord cannot throw you out. They cannot change the locks. The law in Italy is very much on the side of the person who's living the tenant. So this sort of advice is very helpful, and that's where you really do need a legal a legal advisor to help you out there. So he's very helpful. That's a good article that he's published.
Yeah,
Sure
I mean, so many of my friends are even I mean, these are as you said, legislation is coming out every couple of days, and then they have to interpret it, and then it has to be executed. It's just, it's a mess, but they're doing the best they can.
Yeah, I think that's the amazing thing about Italy's sort of response to this situation is the very much, as Pope Francis said in that incredible homily that he gave it to an empty piazza in Rome. It's all about being in the same boat, and we're rowing together, and hopefully we'll get there. But it's a tough one, and I guess that's our wish to everybody else in the world, right, Georgette? That we all come together and respect the legislation and do what we can to get out of this mess.
This is not the time to be a rebel. This is the time to think about the other people in your life, and I know it's hard. We all wish that we could sneak out and go have a beer somewhere, but have it at home. That's the thing. I feel this is the time. The best thing you can do is just stay at home, right? Best thing you can do is when you go outside, minimize all your times outside. So it's until we have a better solution, until Italy either we get into phase 2, and whatever phase 2 looks like, it's going to be different than a full free for all of just going back to normal life. I mean, we can't expect that. So this is the time to help each other, be generous and kind and understanding, which I know is hard, because when you have these ups and downs, it's easy to get into that, and I myself included, snarky mode, or you should be doing this. It's like you have to have compassion.
We could perhaps finish with this question, which is quite a sweet one. Kate asks, are church bells still ringing? I can't picture Italy with no church bells.
Yes. I don't know about you, but yes, I hear them every morning, and it's lovely. I will say that the positive to this, without having, especially around I live in the smack dab in the historical center, Florence. I'm used to hearing people yelling, honking, screaming, all kinds of stuff. And now I hear church bells and birdsong. So I hear it's silence.
And I can hear a dog though.
Yeah, this is like the exactly, and dogs barking.
No, I mean it's very much still Italy out there. Italy is still there. It's just a different Italy to the one. It's less chaotic.
Yeah,
more poetic.
And it's also kind of odd, because you have a lot of Italians, especially Florentines, who are kind of known to be a little bit confrontational about the level of tourism here. I've always been like, well, the Florentine, that the center is not for Italians, and now it is. The center, it's in my street, it's probably mostly empty, because they were vacation homes. So I'm very grateful for the residents that are here, because at least even seeing them in their pajamas down the corridor is a sign that I'm not alone.
Well, I think we're coming to the end of our chat. So thank you, Georgette. Happy Easter. How are you? You mentioned earlier you've ordered some meat in. What are your plans for Easter? People have been asking as well in the chats. So what are you up to? Are you just going to be eating for Easter?
I'm just, honestly, I'm going to sleep in. I'm going to read some books. I'm going to spend some time with my husband, probably playing Monopoly or Uno or something else, and just cooking. It's going to be a very, chill Easter, but I'm okay with that. What about you?
Yeah, I think that's the way forward. Everybody stay at home. Everybody enjoy being with people that you love, and that's the way we're going to get through this. It's one day at a time, and Easter is one of those days. It's just a long weekend of relaxation in our own four walls.
Relaxation, sleep in, have an extra cup of coffee or glass of wine. And thank you, Helen, for inviting me to be part of this chat. I hope you guys were able to see and hear us okay. My internet is not always the best, so this was really fun.
No, thank you very much. Please do, if you don't already follow Georgette, please do go and find Girlinflorence on Instagram, on Twitter, and Facebook, and follow Georgette's wonderful information and insight that she puts out in a very, very thoughtful way.
Thank you, and hope you guys have a great weekend.
Happy Easter, everyone.
Happy Easter, ciao.